Hello everyone, and welcome to Downhaven Entertainment. Today we will be reviewing Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas. Wow. 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 What? Well, this movie happened. Now, what drew me into this movie was the trailers, of course. To me, it seemed to be a huge feat to have this long, huge preview out there for us people and still have no clue what this movie is truly about. Now, this wasn't a time travel movie, but more of an interlocked story that took place in different periods of time. So I was still a sucker for this movie. And I was glad to see a movie that the Wachowskis showcase another epic story. But was it good? Well, let's get into the movie. The movie stars Tom Hanks, who did a pretty good job playing such diverse characters and was the one who stood out the most in the film. He played roles from a no-good guy, kind of cartoony, to the most grounded guy, to the most primal caveman type of guy. Not superb, but not bad. Halle Berry, good actress. I like her in this movie. She was a strong female character who handled her business but was still feminine, which is a nice breath of fresh air compared to the generic strong female types in movies. Hugo Weaving, this guy is just great as an actor. When this guy plays a villain, you just like him, or at least I do. He just has a certain charm about him that works. And he also plays the most unexpected role at a point in this movie, and it was great to watch. And at another point, there was one character in this movie that he portrays that was so sly and devilish that you just want to see more of him. Even though him being there didn't make much sense to me, it was really entertaining to watch. This is my second best choice of him acting as the villain in the movie since The Matrix. Though the character isn't in the movie all that much, superb job. Baydun Dab did a very good job in this movie. To me, her character was the most interesting part of this film. Her story was more heartfelt and you really wanted to see her succeed, and she played a major role in this movie. Now let's talk about what worked for the movie. The cast. We have some really good actors in this movie. The chemistry between these actors was okay, but not superb, but the acting from them was great. This movie has a lot of raw emotion, and for the most part, the cast pulled it off nicely. The script. The characters were written pretty good, and I cared for maybe around 85% of them. Not that the other percent was bad, but some story arcs were a little slower and uninteresting than others. And since there are multiple stories happening in one movie, this may keep your focus into what's going on. Because to be honest, there were some situations going on in certain story arcs that I wasn't really feeling, but the movie went into another situation that renewed my Which brings me to what else worked for the movie. The pacing and timing was great. It didn't linger on one story arc too long. As a matter of fact, the movie bounces around timelines rather quickly at some points, but it did it in a way where I could understand what's going on and not get tiresome. And yes, this movie is close to 3 hours long, and it did feel long, but I didn't mind because I spent $21 in that theater, so they better have great character development and plot. And its timing was pretty impressive. I love when a movie is self-aware in this area. This movie is pretty much a genre melting pot. For the most part, it's a drama, but then near the middle of the film, the people behind the scenes know how to renew your mirth by loosening you up from the tension. The jokes aren't dry and subtle. It was pretty much a comedy, and it didn't feel forced. It was very human and realistic because we're human. Sometimes things get dark and dull, but we still have fun and have a sense of humor. But I have to say, there was really only one forced situation that was more outright silly than kind of comedy, I should say. And as I said before, we let loose from time to time, and I could relate, so it worked for me. It also has its bit of action in the movie, which, let me tell you, they put some thought into it. The fighting was graceful and skilled in a particular story arc, while the other was primal and uncomfortable, so it made sense. And the choreographer knows exactly what works in certain periods. And lastly, what also worked for the movie, it was shot very well. The scenery in this movie is one of the factors that drew me into each world that the period is set in. Now let's talk about what didn't work for the movie. The music. The music to me felt generic at best. Yes, it was good. It was also forgettable. Nothing really stood out to me because it didn't really have a theme. For example, you know what? I have an idea. Let's play a little game. What's that music to what movie? You see, I shouldn't even have to explain, and you just automatically know what music is connected to that movie. Now, in this movie, I walked out forgetting there was even a score. It wasn't powerful, and to me, it was very forgettable. And it's a shame because this movie claims to be such a big, epic, powerful movie. Be warned, this movie does have a male-on-male relationship. If it bothers you, just be warned that it has it. If it doesn't, then go at it. To me, it felt like watching this.
There's something different. I can't explain what it is. Girl, I can't move without the way you move around me. It's got me motionless.
Yeah, it wasn't a Brokeback Mountain or anything, it's just there. So if it upsets you, don't watch it. The pointless sex scene. As big as this movie claimed to be, I was surprised that it stooped to that level. Let me just say the first sex scene in this movie was very short and it actually pushed the story forward, so it made sense. You see motion, but there was no nudity. The second sex scene is totally off screen. You get the idea, we don't really need to see that, so it moved on. The third time around, it looks like they were going to do that, but then it cuts back to them having sex in full front-on nudity. What happened to that theme? It didn't know what it wanted to be. Though it wasn't long, it was still a cheap shot. And I know I'm not the only one either. I urge you, next time you go into a theater and the sex scene comes up, listen to your theater. It's kind of funny. People start to move in their seat, open something or whatever. Because in reality, people are like, okay. Just shut up. But at least it didn't linger on it, but it's not classy. Lastly, the ending. The ending for me was bitter. We came from this huge trailer and this movie had this huge buildup of connected lives to an anticlimactic finish. The movie starts with Tom Hanks' character talking to someone and it's pretty intense. Then at the end you find out who it is and you're like, that's who you've been talking to? Oh, that happened? So why did I watch all of that huge buildup? So for me, you know, it didn't work. Then it was kind of aggravating. So overall, I kind of had fun and I kind of had a great experience, but it was just toward the end where it kind of crashed. After I saw it, it didn't really stick around in my head too long. It was a massive and an impressive feat and I'm going to give it credit, but I won't be willing to watch it again. So this is a movie that I liked just as much as I didn't like somehow, mainly because of the end of the third act. So after adding all of this up, I give it a solid B.